What's up, players? Welcome to Zone Cards and Games. And today we're going to be going over War Machine. War Machine is a miniatures army game, which is a ton of fun. Today we'll be taking a look at the Khador battle group, and we're going to go ahead and start by painting the Juggernaut. So just keep on watching this video and you'll see exactly what comes in the Khador battle group and how we're going to paint up Juggernaut. Be sure to stay tuned for upcoming videos too as we paint the rest of the battle group.
So the things you're going to need to do this are some of your favorite paints, whether they're cheap craft paints or some professional model paints. Either or will work just fine. Your favorite super glue for when we're done painting all this. We're going to need to glue those pieces together to complete our figure. Grab some fine tip paint brushes so you can get those little details. A cup of water to clean those brushes out with so we don't get any other colors mixed up together. Can't have that. And don't forget your Khador battle box, or whatever other box or faction that you choose to use. So what we're going to go ahead and do is go ahead and get this box open and check out what comes inside. Looks like we get a little mini issue of No Quarter, and a simple how to start quick rule guide. That's always handy. Make sure to take a read for that so you know how to play. As we get our stuff out here, you'll see that we have a bag of jacks, all the cards that we'll need to play the game for War Machine after we get our figures assembled, and a little baggie for our Warcaster. So we'll have to get all those painted up and assembled, but today we're just going to focus on the first jack that we mentioned earlier today. So let's go ahead, get this baggie open, and get all the pieces separated for the two different jacks that are provided for us in this battle group. So as we start to get those pieces dumped out of there, start looking at the box for reference to figure out what pieces go to which war jack, because they each have different weapons and they have different names because they have those different stat card. And it's always good to make sure that you have your pieces separated so you're not painting and gluing together pieces for the wrong model. That way you can get everything done in a nice, like, assembly line type manner. That's just my personal preference. Some people will probably prefer to just paint everything all up at once and then figure out what it is. Either way's fine. It's just like I said, I like to prefer to get everything grouped as one section. That probably comes from years of doing Legos where they come in the little baggies for the different sections. But hey, who knows? So now that we got all of our pieces sorted, we can go ahead and begin to figure out what paints we want to use. So when I paint figures, I like to come up with like a story for them. So for this Khador battle group, I decided that they're going to go have a battle in the forest. So I'm going to have their primary color be a nice like forest green type color. So I'm going to get all the major portions of the jacks painted up in this nice like forest green. That way they can kind of blend in and everything, and then we can use the red as their faction colors as like a secondary color to interact well and stand out from the green itself. So as you can see right here, we have all of our green pieces painted, and now we're going to go ahead and add in accent color, which is going to be the Khador red. So I'm using kind of more of a darker red for this, so that way it's not like a bright red to stand out, because like I said, I do want them to be fighting in like a forest, so I don't want it to be like, hey, look at this bright red target you can go ahead and shoot. So that's why I went with like this darker, more kind of muted red, you could say almost. So now we're painting all the major pieces red that have the most surface area that isn't already painted green, because those are our two primary colors. So once we have all the red painted in, then we're going to go ahead and move on to like the detail work, or the tertiary colors. But until we get there, we're just going to go ahead and finish up painting the rest of these surfaces that nice red. If you look on the torso section up at the top there, you can see how the red and green look really well together, especially because they're both kind of a more dull coloring. And that's kind of the look that we're going to be going for this particular battle group. And remember, you don't have to paint them the way I am. You can paint them however you want. This is just a different take on the figures themselves. My personal touch to it, you could say. Because if you look at the box, you will see that they're all like a bright red color. And I decided to change it up a little bit. No big deal. You can do whatever you want. So now we're going to go ahead, now that the red is dried, we're going to move on to our next set of colors. which is going to be like this like dark granite color. And we're going to use this dark granite for all of like the mechanical pieces. So kind of like the fingers and the hydraulics and the bolts and just kind of like the piping, all those kind of things. That's going to be this dark granite color. And I just kind of like to use that as like a typical like industrial machine type color. Kind of like how you would see it at a hardware store. If you go in, it's just like everything's like this dull gray, kind of muted gray. So that's kind of what we're doing for all these more like mechanical bits. So now that the gray is on there and it's like dried and everything else, I'm going to move in with our next color. And I'm going to use a couple steps darker and get a black in there. So the black can be used for a number of different things, but we're going to use it to make some other colors pop out more. So the way I'm doing this is like the bands around everything, like the neck band and then the band on the shoulder pieces, we're going to have those become black to kind of make a separation between the different joints and the different sections of the jack. So you can see here, we have the black on there, it's all dried up, and it's looking great. Now we're coming in with a nice gold color. The gold is going to be kind of like the biggest accent color we have here, because it's going to become like the spikes, the shoulder ball joints, and kind of more just the other accent pieces on there. Because even though we're fighting in a forest, we still want to look good. And what's better than gold? Personal opinion, but hey, I think it's going to look pretty cool once we get everything all finished. Now that we got the gold dry on there and we have all our spikes painted and everything else, it's time to work on the weapon, because we've been putting off the weapon. So we're going to use a nice red copper color. So it's still in the realm of red, so we're not using a new color technically, it's just a new variant on the color. So with this nice like red copper on there, we can have that, it'll stand out a little bit, add some detailing to the axe here, get some gold highlights on there, and then we're going to go ahead and get the handle in that gray and do the blade in a bright blue because it's an ice axe, so it has to have that ice effect on it. Now that we have everything fully painted and everything is dry, we can finally start assembling the model. So grab your favorite type of super glue and start assembling the pieces together. This is going to be kind of a long process like the painting, because you got to wait for things to dry, you got to hold things together. It's kind of boring because you're not doing too much, but once you get those pieces assembled, it's going to look fantastic. I usually like to do it in sections where I get the legs together first, work on the torso a bit, then get the two attached, then put the arms on last to make sure that the arms line up well with the legs and everything. So the last thing to do is to glue it on the base, and let's take a look at how our model has turned out. Not too bad, if I have to say so myself. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see what the rest of the battle group would look like painted, be sure to hit subscribe so you can see all of our future videos that come out. Make sure you click the like button to give it a thumbs up so we know that you actually enjoyed watching this video. Comment on your faction that you play if you play the game. And be sure to just stick around and keep on checking out the cool things to come. We'll have more TCG stuff coming, more miniature videos coming, just a whole lot of stuff in the future. So remember, next time you want to play a game, make sure that you're in the zone.